Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is 9:01. As you can tell, I'm not Jesse Nelson. I am the Mayor Pro Tem. We do that on a rotation basis, so it's my lucky time. So at this time, I would like for you to stand for the invocation. It will be given by Mr. Mike Williams.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Okay. Let us pray. Father, just thank you for getting all of us here together. Father, just thank you for being with us and keeping us moving forward. I just pray that you continue to keep your hand on us and let us make good decisions. And even if we, disagree on things, Father, just stay with us, help us get through them, and help us just to make good in our community. I feel very blessed just to be part of this amazing community and everybody in this city. And I just, again, thank you, Lord, and just stay with us and help us have a great day. And I ask all this in your amazing name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Say the pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. We're all praying for a speedy recovery for you. Mayor Nelson is not here, but I would like to ask for a motion to excuse his absence.
I'll make the motion to excuse Mayor Nelson.
I'll second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Perno, seconded by Commissioner Peoples. Would the city manager please call the roll?
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Peoples,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Vandergriff.
Yes, the motion passed 4-0. At this time, it is time for the public commentary. I noticed, Mr. Walker, that you signed up to speak about a consent agenda. Is that correct? So your opportunity is now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The consent agreement, I noticed it on the agenda, and we're not allowed to discuss things that are on the agenda, okay? It goes to approval to you. We don't have a chance to discuss it. That's one thing I don't agree with. It is part of things that should be discussed, especially dealing with the fact that as we get down to here, there's on the agenda residential paint program. The residential paint program mentioned the Plat 1911. Plat 1911 was done in 1911, A and B. It was negated in 1944, never used again. Never used again. Because the fuel depot was there. It was taken over by the United States government. They owned the property, okay? Now we're getting ready to go back into the 1911 plat. Not been used. Are we bringing the 1911 plat back into effect for the fuel depot? Be advised, 1911 plat designed the property there. Put out the lots and everything. That's not what the fuel depot is going to do. You know that. So it was the 1911 plat on the consent agreement, which you agreed to, which we couldn't discuss as citizens, going to be used for the 1911 plat. It also mentions the CRA in the 1911 plat as being there. It's not there. CRA is not represented in there, nor should it ever be. Be careful of that one. So you've got a little concern coming up with your 1911 plat, which hasn't been used for over 50 years and has not been done. Also, it took you that 50 years to re-annex that property back into Lynn Haven. It is now gated, locked, and Lynn Haven people can't even go into it. Part of Lynn Haven. Take concern on the paint program, which is one incident of it, dealing with the use of that property, and you don't even have a development order on it yet. So my concern is this: we should be able to discuss the consent agreement. We should, when you have something on there that we can never discuss before. And then you have to vote on it. And you put it in the consent agreement to vote on it. You vote on it, we don't get a chance to say anything about it. Those are my concerns this week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Ms. Parker?
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm going to talk about the proverbial elephant in the room, as I said I would. Someone sent to me a signed copy of Chief Ramey's Code of Ethics and Code of Conduct. Ms. Gaynor, I would appreciate if you would forward those things to the rest of the commission, because they're pertinent to the situation at hand. It is, regardless whether he's on duty or off duty, the HR director would like you to believe that because he was off duty, it's irrelevant. It's not. He is held to a bigger standard than any other police officer because of his title. He has other infractions: election interference, 31,000 pages of text messages that include vulgar statements, racist statements. Is that not relevant to any one of you sitting up there? It disgusts me that this continues to be covered up. It's being covered up. What next? What is he going to do next? And another thing that needs to be brought up, there doesn't need to be a consensus for something to be put on the agenda. Any one of you commissioners can put something on the agenda, and that's trying to be bamboozled, and I don't appreciate it. It's never been like that before. So I ask each of you to dig deep and look at his past deeds that are a stain on this city. And they continue to be. I went to the hearing that was done by Zoom. And again, they're kicking it down the road. Graham and the defense attorney have both agreed for a 45-day renewal of looking at the information because they could not come to an agreement. Here's a suggestion. Look at that video for 45 days and tell me, is he guilty or not? Pat, you said to me when I spoke to you that something was going to happen. A slap on the wrist, keeping him in administrative duties, is not something happening. It's him continuing with his six-figure salary. Thank you.
At this time, it's time for the commissioners' reports. I think I'll start first. I'm usually last. So this week, I had several calls from citizens about issues concerning the maintenance codes. So whenever I get a call like that, I always go and take a look at the situation. And that's why I keep bringing up the house numbers. And because I've noticed that even more frequently as I'm out and about, looking at these issues that citizens bring to me. So if you do have any issues regarding maintenance in your neighborhood, we have a code enforcement department. And so I encourage you to follow through with the code department. Of course, you can call me, that's fine. But if you want a straight shot to the code enforcement, I recommend that you make that telephone call. I think we'll go to Commissioner Peoples now for his comments.
Thank you. Well, first I want to say thanks to Mike Williams for coming out and doing that. That was really awesome to see him up here praying for us and leading in the pledges. It's been through a long journey of recovery, and it's awesome to see that he's back able to do that. It was a joy, and God is good. I also wanted to mention that I'll have coffee. I have a coffee meetup this Saturday at 8 a.m. at Wild Root if anyone wants to come talk to me about any concerns or anything like that. And then next, Mr. Walker, what you're talking about, the consent agenda, one thing that I would suggest to anyone that's listening is one thing you can do is do exactly like Mr. Walker did. Put your name on the list to come up about the consent agenda. Public commentary is before the consent agenda, so you can mention that. And if we decide, okay, maybe this shouldn't be in the consent agenda, we can pull it from the consent agenda and move it forward to the business areas. So just a suggestion. I'm not telling anyone what to do. Just that's the first thing that came to mind, that if I had a concern about a consent agenda item, that's what I would do. So yeah, and with that, that's my report. I just want to thank everybody on staff. Do a great job and keep up the good work. Thanks.
Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And thank you, Commissioner Peebles, and Mike, thank you for your invocation. It was good to see you, buddy. I think if it's okay, can I take a swing at talking to Mr. Walker? If it's okay with you, it was about the 1911 plat or what he was asking about, because I do believe you were talking about, Mr. Walker, you were talking about the fuel depot, correct? Okay, because the fuel depot was sold to a private entity, correct? So it has to be replatted, basically, and there needs to be a development agreement before a development order with this entity. That's why we're having all these meetings and stuff. That's as far as I want to go with that. It's that there's a lock and a gate on that because it's private property. So we've had several meetings with the Marina Island LLC people. So that's in development. There will be to my understanding, there'll be a new plat for that area of our city. So it'll have to be replatted, so to speak, and redeveloped at the time that the development agreement is done. So there'll be new infrastructure. There'll be all this. So that's what I wanted to clarify more than anything. Now, regarding the other part of the 1911 plat with the CRA, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're using that just as a geographical guideline. Nothing to do with the plat itself. It's just how the plat was diagrammed back in 1911, and that's I think what Mr. Jenke and the commission agreed on, to expand the paint program beyond the current CRA into that area of the 1911 plat. And I thought it was a great thing to expand that program to our citizens. We voted on it, and I think it was unanimous that we agreed on that. So Just wanted to just make a clarification to you on that. Um, Aside from just a few things I worked on with some citizens, I got to attend 2 meetings since our last meeting. One of them was it was actually just a luncheon, and it was last Thursday, but it was the accumulation of all the work in a document, presenting the document to the public for the St. Joe Bay, St. Andrew Bay Estuary Program, which I've been a member of the policy board since its beginning, and now I do believe every one of you, I brought a copy of every one of these for all the commissioners. This is the Comprehensive Conservation Management Plan. So this is what's being put out to the public. Ms. Hodges, we went to that luncheon, we represented our city, and this is basically the program in a nutshell, and it's available through their website. I'm a little behind on doing it, but I just emailed the communications, the June newsletter, and the June newsletter would have everything in it. It was emailed to me. I encourage everybody to get involved with our estuary program to protect and restore our bays. That's very important. The bays are the key to purifying, keeping our water pure, keeping people coming here to visit. If our bays go away, our sea life goes away, our seagrass goes away, our way of having tourism, just in general, the quality of life will be affected. So, just saying that it's taken 3 years, but it's getting out there, and now there'll be more to come. Trust me, there'll be more public interaction. The estuary program hopefully is not going away. I hope this helps build the estuary program onto a national estuary program. Will be funded by federal dollars with the EPA, and that's enough I'll say about that. The second meeting I attended was through the Transportation Planning Organization. I'm on the subcommittee of the Transportation Planning Organization. At our last Transportation Planning Organization meeting, it was brought up to rekindle, so to speak, or look at the language that we put in an item last year to try to create a transit authority for Bay County. Now that in itself was done last year with a consulting company. It was brought to the TBO, it was voted on, it was sent to the legislature. The legislature did not act on the proposal for the transit authority in Bay County as it did. The legislature just didn't get to it, didn't do anything with it. So one of the members of the TPO brought up that the language about creating the membership for the authority only stated that it would be elected officials. And he wanted it to be changed that each city would elect a member. It could be an elected official, it could be a member of the community. That's what the meeting was about. That was the agenda item. Other things were brought forth. I do believe there's going to be some rewording of the document again. It still has to be what we voted on. What we decided to vote on was just to say that we would change the wording to say a member. So each city can either put an elected official on the board or put a member of the community or a member of their city on the board. So that being said, and that would mimic more like the airport authority and so forth, and the port authority that we have now. So that being said, that was done. Now it goes to the county commission, and it goes to the next TPO meeting. The next TPO meeting at the end of the month in June. With that, I'll just say thank you to everyone, all the citizens, and all of our city employees, and all of our first responders. So thank you.
Commissioner Warwick?
So I got a couple things here. One, I'm sure a lot of people saw on Facebook, someone trashing our park. So someone apparently had some gender reveal thing and left food, paper plates, all kinds of garbage there. And it's been taken care of. But I would ask you, if you do see that, please contact the city. And if it's after hours, call the Lynn Haven Police Department. I do appreciate people reaching out and being upset about, because that shows that you're taking pride in our park. So I appreciate that. My next time event with the time with the commissioner is on 22nd of June. It'll be at Slim Chickens at 11:30 for anybody who'd like to sit down and talk to me about whatever issues or questions you may have. And the last thing, Chief Ramey situation, I think I've already expressed my feeling on that. Honestly, I think most people have it wrong. I think everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, most people are concentrating on the criminal charge. I'm not. If you just take the civil citations and all the actions prior to that, is that enough to terminate an employee? And that was the question that I asked the HR attorney when we had the workshop here. And his answer was, I believe what you're getting to is conduct unbecoming. And in my mind, I was like, that's exactly right. So I've had many discussions with city manager about it. We disagree on it. Obviously, us on the commission, we disagree on it. I don't get it. I struggle with it every single day. I understand we have differences, but to me, this is pretty black and white. I don't know what else to do about it, but I do feel we're not doing the right thing. And that's all I'll say about that. Thank you.
Ms. Gaynor?
Kiki.
Good morning. Questions about the warrant list? Thank you.
So we started back the employee, we used to have an employee of the month, and we kind of revamped things and decided, the leadership team decided we would go with employee of the quarter. And if some of you remember when we had the employee of the month, we've had that supervisor come up and talk about that employee as to why they are employee of the month or the quarter. And so this time we're doing a catch-up, so we're going to have 2 employee recognitions of the quarter. And I'm going to ask first that Stephanie Nichols comes up and introduces her employee of the quarter.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Winkle. She's in our customer service department. Jennifer has been with the city since the spring of last year. She continuously leads by example in providing exemplary customer service to Lynn Haven residents. She goes above and beyond when assisting residents with their inquiries, ensures follow-up when needed, and works closely with other departments to ensure prompt resolutions. Despite her busy day, Jennifer still finds the time to offer help to anyone who needs it. Among many things, her ambition and positive attitude earned her the title of Employee of the Quarter, and I'm very grateful to have Jennifer a part of our customer service team.
Next, we have Chris Lightfoot, and he is going to talk about Michael David Coleman.
So, Mr. Coleman joined us back in February of 2023, and he was one of the unfortunate people that had worked at the paper mill for many, many years and lost his job. So we welcomed David to our team. He quickly learned the stormwater pipe crew and what all that entailed, and was a valuable asset to that. And as we progressed, we had been talking about transferring over to the radio read meters. And he heard us talk about it one day, and he said, I'd like to learn how to do that. So we got him going on that, and this man has worked by himself for the past several months. We are up to around 2,200 radio read meters. Started with about 400 when he started, and he's been going out. You'll see him installing radio read meters, working to get them programmed, and though the whole program is a challenge in itself for all of us to learn, he has taken it by the horns and just absolutely ran with it. So we are lucky to have him on our team. He is a valuable asset, and he is working tirelessly to get the radio read program off the ground and get it going. So thank you for being here and being part of us.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So one of the things that we want to remind every resident of is that we now have paperless billing. When I came to the city almost a little bit over 7 years ago, it was one gentleman that would call us probably monthly and said, when are you gonna get to where you can send us a PDF so we can see our bills on by email? Well, we have that now. So we're encouraging residents to sign up to receive your bills by email. That truly saves the city money. Otherwise, we print off those utility billings and then come through the mail, and most of you may throw them away, particularly people who have auto pay. That's another one, because you know it's going to be taken out each month. So please encourage people to sign up for this billing, and you'll be able to receive it by email. So congratulations to all of the all-star teams that are getting ready to go to Mississippi. This year we have 6 teams that are going. I think last year was 2 or 3. So you can see that all of our activities are growing by leaps and bounds. There is still time to purchase a banner for Hometown Heroes. I must say that Parks and Grounds has done a great job of putting those banners up where they are seen. I see lots of people coming out taking photos of that. And so those are just great things for our citizens that I hope that we all appreciate. Commissioner Work has already talked about the reveal parties that go on within our city. It is a problem because our staff have a schedule that they do every day in terms of cleaning the city. But when something's that bad, they usually will take off and try to clean up our parks very quickly, because so many people do use our parks, and we want you to use our parks. But we just want them to stay clean, and appreciate all of the citizens who called us or just said, what can we do to help? Just ask people to clean up, and I think that's the most important part of it. We're going to be repairing the sunshades, and so those are going to help while people are out playing in our parks. We start softball this week, and boy, do we have a full house. Kickball started Thursday night, and if you've not seen the adult kickball, you are in for a treat. You need to go out and watch it. It's probably one of the most competitive sports I've watched in a long time, and that is out at King Griffin Park. And so we have a lot of things that we're going to bring to the commission on next agenda, because the commission did ask us anything that was had a development order or agreement to always try to put it on the second agenda. So we're going to do that, and we will have lots to bring to you. Let me just say thank you to staff for doing an awesome job and working tirelessly every day to serve the citizens of Lynn Haven. It is a pleasure and an honor to do that. That's my report.
The city attorney, do you have a report? Oh, okay.
Last night, a judge in the Southern District of Florida entered a temporary injunction against the Commission on Ethics regarding the enforcement of Senate Bill 774. For y'all, that's the bill that required the Form 6 full financial disclosure, as opposed to the Form 1. The opinion's 33 pages. I got it last night. We're still reviewing it, but later on this week, you should expect some direction from me as to what you file and when regarding that disclosure.
And the date for that disclosure was?
July 1st is the date your Form 6 was due. I don't know now.
If it'll.
You have a 60-day grace period that's automatically built into the law. I just don't know yet if my advice to you would be to file the Form 1 as a just in case by July 1st, or wait and see what the judge is going to do next. So it is just a temporary injunction and not the final say, but stay tuned.
Thank you.
Look, sorry if I ask a question. So are you saying that Form 6 might go away for us? Is that what you're saying?
Potentially may, yes.
Oh, thank God. I filled out most of that thing. I'm going to tell you, it was a pain in the neck. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff you got to put in there. So
it's not permanent yet. It's just a temporary injunction, but
Right.
it does affect that July 1st deadline. So I'm going to read the whole thing and then get back to you. But I did want to let you know
Okay.
that there's been a development there.
thank you.
But there is a 60-day extension.
There's a 60-day grace period, yes,
Grace
ma'am, before the Commission on Ethics can impose any penalties.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the 28th, the meeting on the 28th, and it also includes the residential paint program. Does the commission want to remove any of these items? If not, then we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
So the motion to approve the consent agenda has been made by Commissioner Perno and seconded by Commissioner Peoples. Will the city manager please call the roll? Sure.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes?
Commissioner Peoples,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Vandergriff.
Yes. It seems that we do not have any old business, so we're going to move on to the new business. And I would like to ask Miss Amanda Richards, who's already up there, to explain the possible approval of this resolution.
Thank you. First, let me read the resolution, please. By title only, Resolution 2024-05429, a resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending chapters 2, 30, 42, 54, 70, and 86 of the fee schedule in Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances and providing an effective date.
Thank you. So periodically, we being you, the city, do update the fees that we charge, and these fees are within the fee schedule as a resolution. Sometimes there are fees that have been updated but have not been actually placed in this resolution. This resolution, once you've approved it, gets sent to Municode, and they place it on our website. They put the changes in the correct places in the ULDC. or wherever else they need to go, but they also make sure that it's a document that's updated on the website for people to look at. The last fee schedule took place on May 9th, 2023, and the city staff is proposing to amend the city's Code of Ordinances and its Appendix A to update that fee schedule. So this fee schedule update reflects language changes, classification changes, and/or new fees in chapters 2, 30, 42, 54, 70, and 86. The changes can be seen as stricken through in the document for the deleted text or as bold and double underlined for the new text. Each department head submitted their own fee changes to the planning director, myself, who compiled the changes in the attached resolution number 2024-05-429. This resolution will, if adopted, allow for changes to those chapters of the fee schedule in Appendix A of the Lynn Haven Code of Ordinances. So I just put this document together. I decide on my changes, but I do not decide on the other department's changes. So if you have questions, they are all here to discuss why they changed their fees. One thing that I do want to bring to your attention first, though, is beginning on page 26, you might have noticed that some of the fees they're not just bold and double underlined, but they actually had yellow highlights. And the reason that those are like that is because those fees have actually been approved by you in the past. It's just that because they weren't put into the fee schedule resolution, they weren't updated in this document. So you're not voting on those fees as new fees. You have already done that. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do. I just was glancing at the recreation sponsorship cost, and I don't know if it's because we have more people or facilities or what, but our season sponsorship for football went from $250 to $2,500. Is that previously, was that just a one-team sponsorship? And now
Correct.
that's a whole
Correct.
season?
So now it's for the entire league.
Okay.
And we're basing it off of participation. So
That's kind of what I was thinking, so, yeah. And then there was one that went for spring and fall baseball, so that's for both seasons. Went from 1,400 to 5,000.
correct. So the 1,400 would be for the entire division, and the 5,000 is for the entire league.
Entire league, okay.
Yeah. So we're basing it off of this year's numbers. So 700 to 1,000 participants.
Right, and that's a lot more than we've had in the past.
Correct.
Right. That's kind of what I figured, but I just wanted, because when somebody goes through and looks at it, the numbers that jump the biggest are going to jump out to them. So, thank you. I just wanted.
I had the same question, so I'm glad you asked it.
Commissioners, if you have a question, if you could refer to the page number, that would help us kind of keep up with you.
Yeah, I have multiple questions. That was one of my questions. There's 2 page numbers. So page 30, is that?
One at the bottom, yes.
Yeah, all right, page 30, there's the in-building public safety radio enhancement system. What is that fee for? I just don't know what it is. I'm just trying to educate myself, sorry.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here on behalf of the fire station and the inspector who's on leave. This is a brand-new inspection requirement by statute under the fire code. They're required now, the city's required on commercial properties to conduct an inspection of their BDA system, which is the communication systems in large buildings, Wi-Fi systems, to ensure that emergency systems and alarms get to our fire station and our emergency response. It is a new inspection requirement. Therefore, the fire station, we've had 2 this past year. They took that experience to help create a fee base on the amount of time that it takes to conduct the inspection. Again, this is not residential. These are large commercial buildings, so it is time enhanced work.
Thank you. Under utilities, it's got $600 for road bore. What is that? Oh, I'm sorry, 43.
The road bores are, say you are establishing a new water service, and the water main is on the east side of the road, and your meter is going to be on the west side of the road, we have to bore under the road to get that water service to you.
That's like for like probably usually like a new development or something.
A new home, for example, if they were Wisconsin Avenue where they're building a couple of new homes, the water main is on one side of the road and the house is on the other, so you have to bore under the road there. And that just covers the cost of that.
Another one here. There was one on the culvert. It went from like 500 to 1,500, and now I can't find it.
It's on page 27 under 12, section 12, utility and stormwater fees. The original, the culvert pipe replacement was for the first 30 feet. It was 500, and we're asking to increase that to 1,500. And the reasoning is we took the work orders that we have. Now that we have a work order system, we can track cost. I took the average of the work orders of what it cost us to replace a culvert, and on average, we're spending about $1,700. So I asked to increase that to 1,500, and then each additional foot would be $40 instead of 20. And that's just to recuperate the cost of the pipe, which has increased, as well as our labor and fuel for the equipment.
So even with the 1,500, it's still not enough to cover all of it?
We're still below the average, but a good bit of them would cover the 1,500, and then for the additional foot price of $40, we would make up that extra to cover the larger ones.
So who installs it? Does the city?
Our
install it?
stormwater pipe crew does, yes.
So is a substantial increase because of the materials has increased?
So pipe, of course, has increased drastically over the years, but this price is still relatively cheap for us to install it versus a contractor. Though a contractor is much more efficient, and a lot of the jobs we have a contractor do, we pass that cost on to the customer. But the smaller jobs like this, we would do in-house, like a 15-inch, 30-foot culvert that has to be replaced or installed, we would do that. Now, if it was a 30-inch culvert, like on Vermont Avenue, that there are multiple of those, we would sub that out just because it's much larger than what we typically handle.
So you said that it's did you say it was actually cheaper? You said something about the rate, it's cheap for us compared to the contractor?
On the smaller culverts, like 12-inch, 15-inch, 18-inch, it's cheaper for us to do it. Takes a little bit longer sometimes, depending on the circumstances, but the larger items, 18, 24, 30, and on up, that is much more efficient and cheaper for a contractor to do. And prime example, that I'm sure everyone saw the water main break on 19th and Main
Right.
last week. So that was a 10-inch line, just something we're not really equipped to handle on an efficient basis. So it's much easier, cheaper, and efficient for a contractor to sub out and have them do it, and much quicker than what we could handle in-house.
So we currently have it set up where we do all the stormwater culverts,
Not all, we probably do about 90% in-house.
but the bigger ones, they pay, is
We
it the
sub
same?
out, utilize our push button contract that was approved back in 21, I believe, or we'll get the 3 quotes, just depending on what the circumstances are.
Okay. So the $1,500, or from that $500, $1,500, I don't know why I can't find it. Is that for all stormwater culverts, or was that just a certain size?
That is for, again, a new.
45, that's why I couldn't find it. I knew I had it in here, sorry.
New construction, just like what we just talked about with the new water service. Say you were installing a new driveway for a new home, this would be what that covers. Or you're adding a driveway onto your backyard to access a back gate or something, that's what this culvert costs, or culvert covers.
And we do that, right?
Correct.
Would that be cheaper for the contractor to do that?
In some instances, it is, yes. And there are some contractors that have installed their own piping over on Alabama Avenue, I believe, or Wyoming Avenue. We recently had where when they came in to pay their impact fees and all their permits, they initially paid for the driveway permit, and then they discovered it was much cheaper to do it themselves when they were there, so we reimbursed them for the driveway stuff that they had already paid for.
So would it be better for us to change it where they could just privatize it out?
For a new construction, absolutely. We could require them just to install it from themselves from the get-go. Now, we would have to still have this fee just in case anyone wanted to add a driveway in the back or anything like that. But if it was a new construction home, we could require them to do it initially from the beginning for when they're building a house.
So regardless whether they have someone else do it or not, they still got to pay the $1,500 fee?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I got.
I have a few things. So in chapter 2 and chapter 38, I believe there might be a typo.
What
Because,
page? What page?
Page 20 for chapter 2,
Is it the one at the bottom?
the false alarms.
Is it this one here? It's 2 page numbers. Do the one at the
Okay.
bottom that's in dark bold.
Yeah, page 20. So the bottom of page 20 there talks about the false alarms. And then,
Yeah, that was a question I had too. I wonder if one's commercial and one's residential or something.
the other one's chapter 38, which is on page,
Here it is.
35.
35.
Yeah, 35. Both of them are talking about false alarm responses, and they have different prices. So I don't know, because chapter 38 up top just says offenses, and then the other one's talking about police response. So I don't know if we want to make sure that those line up with the same price, or if that was intended to be something different.
I'm wondering if one's like residential and one's commercial. That's what I was thinking when I saw the same thing. I just can't find it now.
Those numbers
You-
in parentheses, like
One of them is page 20, and I didn't get the other page number.
35.
35.
35.
Yeah, it listed twice on page 35. That's the one I was looking at.
False alarms.
One up here, one down here too. Listed on twice on page 35, and I'm guessing that one's commercial and one's residential. I don't know.
To me, it looks like the chapter 38 one.
It's offenses.
Okay, yeah, right.
It's offenses.
Is that different than the one on page 20?
False alarm responses.
I just say, when I get back to my office, I'll check the emails that were sent to me, because I know that the police department sent me some changes and asked that I also make those changes in the fire department section. So it is possible with all the different versions and emails, that is something that I should have carried over to that second one. The changes should have been carried over to the chapter 38, but weren't carried over. So I can take a look at that when I go back to the office.
So on page 20, that's false alarm responses. That's going to be by PD. They're going to
Right.
respond to those false alarms, okay? And then
Well,
on-
if you can just clarify, if CJ, I'll get with CJ, because my page numbers are different from your page numbers. Are yours double printed or one-sided?
Page 2 then, that's the one you're looking at, page 2.
Yes,
False
I'm looking
alarm
at page
responses.
2, and I was looking
That
at...
is PD. They are the ones that respond to false alarm,
Yes,
okay?
they're the change that
Yes.
police department asked
Yes,
for.
exactly right.
And then chapter 38 does not say the same thing, so I'm going to make sure that, I'm going to look to see whether it should be saying the same thing as on page 2.
And what page is that?
On
35.
mine, I had it just...
35 for you.
Or 17?
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you look at the top, chapter 38 says offenses.
Right.
So these are two totally different things here.
However, the prices were the same.
And they may have
The
done that.
fees were the same before the police department asked me to change these ones. And I do believe that there were other ones that they asked to change, and they wanted the same thing done in the fire department, but I haven't got anybody here right now from the fire department to speak to that, so I will check that email. And if it is supposed to be the same, I'll change it. Does that need to come back to you again?
I think so. That's my opinion, just to make sure, make sure we got everything accurate.
So, table?
Ms. Attorney, what do you think?
You have a couple of options. You can table it, and it'll automatically come back to the next meeting, or you can approve it on the condition that direct staff essentially to investigate whether 38.7 should be updated to match 3060-1 and the PD's charge as well, and if so, to make the changes accordingly. It's up to you. You can take either route.
Okay.
I make a motion to table it and have them bring it back with clarification on that.
Is it possible, if there are any other questions, to do those now, so there's anything else that needs to be changed, I can take care of it
I
also?
think they can just send email if we're going to do that, okay? If we're going to make those changes.
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, I'll second.
So there's a motion to table this agenda item and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
But do we have to ask public?
Commentary.
Well, I guess we will. Does the public have any comments concerning this? Tabling? Mr. Walker? Tabling. Correct, that's the motion on the floor. So there are no comments. So now, City Manager, please call the roll.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Peoples?
Yes.
Commissioner Perno?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Vandergriff?
Yes. Okay. Meeting adjourned.